Welcome to the world of science fiction where extraordinary tales come to life. Enjoy the journey. Jake Mercer wiped grease off his hands, squinting at the moving truck next door. His small-town mechanic shop in Bracken Falls rarely saw newcomers, let alone ones unloading furniture that shimmered like liquid metal. The arrival. A woman stepped out, tall, with silver-streaked hair that caught sunlight like polished steel. Her eyes, a shade of violet too deep to be natural, locked onto Jake. She smiled, and the air hummed faintly, like a tuning fork. "Hi," she called, her voice melodic. "I'm Lyria." Jake nodded, suddenly aware of his oil-stained shirt. "Jake, welcome to Bracken Falls." Strange occurrences. That night, Jake's garage lights flickered wildly. Through his window, he saw Lyria in her backyard, hands outstretched as glowing orbs floated around her. One orb burst, showering sparks that rearranged midair into intricate patterns before vanishing. The confrontation. Jake marched over. "What are you?" Lyria's glow dimmed. "Not from here," she admitted. "My species, we enter a cycle every decade. Earth's energy is compatible." Jake's pulse raced. "So you're hiding." "Surviving," she corrected. "But my presence causes side effects." As if on cue, the streetlights exploded in a cascade of blue fire. Jake's breath caught in his throat as Lyria's skin pulsed with an eerie blue light. The streetlights had stopped exploding, but the air still buzzed with an unnatural energy. The truth unveiled. Lyria lowered her hands, the floating orbs dissolving like mist. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake took a cautious step forward. "Find out what exactly?" "That my neighbor's an alien. That you're making the whole town's electricity go haywire." Lyria sighed, her glow dimming slightly. "I'm from Xeris, a planet where energy and emotion are intertwined. Right now, my body is unstable. A dangerous attraction." Jake frowned. "Unstable how?" Lyria hesitated, then touched his arm. A jolt like static electricity shot through him, but instead of pain, warmth spread through his veins. His muscles relaxed, his mind sharpened, and for a second, he saw something. A world of floating islands, skies streaked with auroras. He yanked his arm back. "What was that?" "My energy," Lyria said softly. "It reacts to humans, especially compatible ones." Jake's face burned. "You mean?" "I mean," she interrupted, "that my species bonds with others during our cycle, and for some reason, you amplify my power." The Watcher. Before Jake could process that, a flicker of movement caught his eye. A black SUV idled at the end of the street, its windows tinted. The engine didn't make a sound. Lyria stiffened. "They're here." "Who?" "People who hunt beings like me." The SUV's door opened, and a man in a dark suit stepped out. He didn't walk toward them, just watched. Jake's instincts screamed, "We need to go. Now." Running. Lyria grabbed his wrist, and suddenly, Jake felt lighter, faster. They sprinted through backyards, the grass glowing faintly where Lyria's feet touched it. Behind them, the SUV roared to life. Jake's mind raced. "I'm helping an alien fugitive. I'm insane." But when he glanced at Lyria, her silver hair streaming behind her, her eyes fierce with determination, he knew he wouldn't stop. The safe house. They ducked into Jake's garage, where he kept his most prized possession, a half-restored 1969 Mustang. Lyria's eyes widened. "You build machines." Jake smirked. "I fix them. And right now, we need to fix this." He tossed her a hoodie. "Put this on. We're getting out of town." As they revved the engine, the SUV screeched around the corner. Jake gritted his teeth. "Hold on." The Mustang roared to life, tires spitting gravel as they shot into the night. The Mustang's engine roared as Jake swerved onto the highway, rearview mirror flashing with the SUV's relentless headlights. Lyria clutched the dashboard, her fingers flickering with faint blue energy. The chase. They're not giving up, Jake muttered, downshifting hard as they took a sharp turn onto an old logging road. Branches scraped the car's sides, the forest swallowing them in shadows. Lyria's breathing was uneven. They never do. Jake risked a glance at her. Who are they? Agency 7, she said. A human group that tracks extraterrestrial energy signatures. They'd been hunting my kind for decades. Jake's grip tightened on the wheel. Great. I'm being chased by alien cops. A dangerous reaction. Suddenly, Lyria gasped. Her skin flared brighter, veins of light pulsing beneath the surface. The Mustang's radio crackled to life. Static. Then a voice. Subject located. Grid 42. Move in. Jake cursed. They're tracking you. Lyria's eyes widened. No, they're tracking this. She held up her hands. The glow wasn't just coming from her anymore. It was spreading. The dashboard lights flickered, then surged. The engine revved on its own. Your energy's going haywire, Jake shouted over the whine of the motor. Lyria's voice was strained. It's the cycle. It's accelerating. I can't control it. Betrayal. Jake's phone buzzed. A message from Derek, his best friend since high school. Jake, where are you? You okay? Relief washed over him. Maybe Derek could help. He typed back. In trouble. Need a place to hide. Seconds later, Derek replied. Come to the old mill. I'll meet you. Lyria's hand clamped onto Jake's wrist. Don't. What? Derek's solid. Had never. Her pupils dilated. I felt something when you read that text. A lie. Jake hesitated. But the SUV was gaining. They had no choice. The trap. The abandoned mill loomed ahead, its broken windows like hollow eyes. Jake killed the engine, coasting into the overgrown lot. Silence. Then, footsteps. Derek stepped from the shadows, hands raised. Jake, man, you gotta explain what's. Behind him, Agent Voss emerged, gun drawn. Jake's stomach dropped. You son of a. Lyria moved faster than thought. A pulse of light erupted from her, slamming into Voss and Derek like an invisible wave. They crumpled. The mill's floodlights exploded in a shower of sparks. The escape. Jake grabbed Lyria's arm. We gotta go now. She swayed, her glow dimming. I can't keep doing this. Jake half-dragged her back to the car. As they peeled away, he glimpsed Voss already stirring, radio crackling. They weren't done yet. Jake's hands shook as he drove, the Mustang's engine whining in protest. Lyria slumped in the passenger seat, her glow reduced to a faint shimmer. The woods blurred past them, a dark maze with no exit in sight. The fading light. Talk to me, Jake demanded, stealing glances at her. What's happening? Lyria's breath was shallow. The cycle. It demands a bond. Without it, my energy consumes itself. Jake's throat tightened. You mean you'll die? She didn't answer. The silence was worse than a yes. A temporary shelter. They abandoned the car near a derelict ranger station, its roof sagging but walls still standing. Jake kicked open the door, cobwebs snapping as he carried Lyria inside. She was lighter than she should be, as if her body was slowly dissolving into light. He set her down on a dusty cot. Okay. How do we fix this? Lyria's fingers brushed his wrist, sending a weak but warm pulse through him. There's only one way. I need to bond with a compatible life form. Jake froze. You mean, mate? Not just physically, she whispered. A full energy synchronization. My people call it the convergence. The risk. Jake paced, boots scuffing the rotten floorboards. What happens if we do it? My energy stabilizes. But, she hesitated. You'll change. Your body, your DNA. It will adapt to mine. Jake stopped pacing. I'll become alien. Lyria's violet eyes locked onto his. You'll become more. Outside, an owl hooted. The wind carried the distant growl of an engine. The decision. Jake knelt beside her. What if I say no? Lyria smiled sadly. Then I fade before dawn, and Agency 7 will hunt the next Xerian who lands here. Jake's chest ached. He thought of his quiet garage, his predictable life. Then he thought of Lyria, her courage, her light. He made his choice. Tell me what to do. The first spark. Lyria sat up, strength returning with purpose. She placed both palms against Jake's chest. Breathe with me. The glow spread from her hands, seeping into his shirt, his skin. Jake gasped as heat flooded his veins. His vision swam. Suddenly, he was everywhere. The Mustang's engine, feeling every piston's rhythm. The trees outside, their roots drinking deep from underground streams. Lyria's heartbeat, sensing with his own. Then, pain, white-hot and brilliant. Jake screamed. The interruption. The station's door exploded inward. Agent Voss stood framed in moonlight, a strange device humming in his grip. Enough, he snarled. Lyria's glow flickered wildly. Jake, run. But Jake couldn't move. His body was alight, burning and changing. Voss raised the device. You're coming with us, specimen. Jake's body burned like a live wire, every nerve screaming as Lyria's energy surged through him. His vision fractured. One moment seeing the crumbling ranger station, the next glimpsing floating Xerian cities through Lyria's memories. Agent Voss stepped closer, his weapon humming louder. Last chance, Mercer. Step away from the specimen. The transformation. Jake's hands spasmed. His veins glowed blue beneath his skin, pulsing in time with Lyria's fading light. He could feel the change, his cells vibrating, adapting. Lyria gripped his arm. Jake, focus. Your human mind is the anchor. Don't let the energy consume you. Voss fired. The device's beam hit Jake square in the chest. Instead of pain, a terrifying void opened inside him. Lyria's energy was being siphoned away. Human ingenuity. Jake gasped, but his mechanics' instincts kicked in. The weapon wasn't magic, it was tech. And tech could be hacked. With a roar, he grabbed a rusted pipe from the floor and slammed it into the device's core. Sparks erupted. The beam flickered, then reversed, flooding back into Voss with a concussive boom. The agent crumpled, his own weapon overloading in his hands. The aftermath. Silence. Lyria stared at Jake. You rerouted a quantum siphon with a pipe. Jake flexed his hands. His skin still shimmered faintly. Seemed logical. Outside, tires screeched. Derek stumbled in, his eyes glowing the same eerie blue as Lyria's. But his voice was desperate. Jake, I couldn't stop myself. Lyria inhaled sharply. My energy. It imprinted on him when I defended us at the mill. He's connected to me now. The choice. Derek fell to his knees. It's like I can feel her heartbeat. Jake, fix this. Lyria touched Jake's cheek. There's a way, but you have to fully embrace the bond. Become my true mate, and the excess energy will stabilize Derek. Jake looked at his best friend, then at Lyria. No more running. Tell me what to do. The convergence. Their foreheads pressed together. Light erupted, not just from Lyria, but from Jake himself. The ranger station's walls trembled as energy coursed between them, weaving their life forces into one. Derek gasped as the parasitic glow left his body. Voss's stolen energy ripped free, returning to Lyria in a swirling vortex. And then, peace. Epilogue. 1 year later, Bracken Falls had a new oddity. Mercer's cosmic garage, where Jake repaired cars with uncanny speed, and occasionally, a touch of Xerian energy. Lyria, now fully stabilized, lounged on the hood of a Cadillac, her glow subdued but present. Agent Voss's bosses won't stop hunting us, you know. Jake smirked, wiping grease off his still glowing fingertips. Let them try. Above them, The stars shimmered, brighter now, and full of possibilities.